All right, welcome. Today we're going to dive deep into something fascinating, the hidden psychological blueprint that's secretly running our financial lives. It's this subconscious code that decides not just what we make, but what we actually feel we're worthy of having.
So, let's just jump right in with a huge question, a real puzzle. Why is it that so many people can achieve massive financial success, the exact thing we're all told to chase, and yet they still feel completely trapped or anxious or just empty inside? It's a huge paradox, right? And it kind of suggests that our whole conventional idea of wealth might be missing the most important piece of the puzzle.
And that leads us right to our first big idea. The problem, it turns out, isn't about not having enough money. Not at all. The real issue is our internal state of being, this hidden prison we end up building for ourselves even when we're swimming in financial success.
Okay, let's talk about this idea of the golden cage. Imagine this. On the outside, you have everything. You've got the freedom, the success, all the resources you could want. But on the inside, you're a prisoner. You're shackled by this constant fear of losing it all, this never-ending craving for more, and this deep, gnawing anxiety. It's exactly what happens when you pile up wealth without doing the inner work to go along with it.
The Roman philosopher Seneca figured this out thousands of years ago. And what's so powerful about this quote is how it completely flips the script on what it means to be poor. See, it's not about what's in your bank account. It's a state of mind. If you are constantly craving more, then by definition, you're living in scarcity, no matter how much money you have.
So, what's actually driving this internal state? To really get it, we have to look deeper, way beneath our conscious thoughts, to these powerful ancient patterns that are secretly pulling all the strings. Let's call them the mind's inner rulers. The famous psychologist Carl Jung had a name for these patterns: archetypes. The best way to think about them is like invisible software running in the background of your mind. They're these universal blueprints inside every single one of us, shaping our emotions and driving our behavior, usually without us having a clue. They're the real rulers of our inner world.
And when it comes to wealth and money, it really boils down to a battle between two of these archetypes. On one side, you've got the victim. It operates from fear and scarcity, and its main question is, why me? This state literally lights up the amygdala in your brain, your threat detection center. But on the other side, you have the creator. The creator operates from faith and imagination, and it declares, why not me? This state activates a totally different part of the brain, the default mode network, which is your hub for creativity and big picture thinking. So here's the kicker. Your financial reality literally starts with which one of these brain regions you're living in.
Okay, this brings us to the most important part, right? We've talked about the problem, we've looked at the root cause, so now what? How do we actually change it? How do we get in there, take control, and rewrite the subconscious code that's been holding us back?
Well, the source material lays out 5 really practical, science-backed rituals you can do every single day. First up, morning imprinting. For the first 30 minutes after you wake up, your brain is in this super suggestible state called theta. That's the time to visualize your ideal life in detail. Second, night reprogramming. Just before you fall asleep, mentally replay your day, but imagine everything went perfectly. Third is gratitude. This is huge for rewiring your brain to see what you have, not what you lack. Fourth, conscious speech. Stop saying, I can't afford it. Instead, try, I'm choosing not to spend on that right now. See the difference? It puts you back in control. And finally, number 5, embodied prosperity. Simply standing tall and confident sends a direct signal of safety and worthiness to your nervous system.
Now, a lot of this stuff comes down to faith, but let's be clear about what we mean by that. From a neuroscience perspective, faith is not some vague, superstitious hope. It is the sustained activation of a specific neural network. You're literally firing those circuits over and over until they become stronger and more dominant than the old networks of doubt and fear. It's a real biological process.
And listen, the stakes for getting this right, for mastering this inner world, are incredibly high. History is just littered with these really stark, powerful warnings about what happens when we conquer the outer world but completely forget about the inner one.
And this slide just nails the point home, doesn't it? Take a look at Howard Hughes. He was one of the richest men on the planet, but all that wealth just amplified his subconscious programming for danger and fear. It led him to a life of paranoia and total isolation. Now contrast that with Mahatma Gandhi. He had basically zero material possessions, but his subconscious was programmed for conviction, which gave him a kind of wealth, a wealth of influence that literally changed the world. It proves that true power comes from your inner programming, not your bank statement.
So the ultimate goal of all this inner work, the whole point, is to move beyond that scarcity mindset and step into a state of true personal sovereignty, a state where you become the conscious creator of your own reality.
To get there, you've got to understand what we'll call your emotional economy. This lays it out perfectly. When you're operating from a place of fear, you actually repel opportunity. Neutrality? Well, that just kind of keeps things stable. Nothing changes. But confidence? Confidence starts to attract resources to you. And when you can get to a state of joy and purpose, whoa! You don't just attract opportunities, you multiply them. Your emotional baseline directly determines your financial baseline.
And all of this leads to sovereignty. So what is that? It's that deep gut-level awareness that you are the cause, not the effect of your life circumstances. The second you stop blaming things outside of yourself and take full, radical responsibility, something incredible happens. Your subconscious mind stops playing defense and opens up completely to creation.
You know, if there's one metaphor to take away from all of this, it's this one right here. Your subconscious mind, that's the architect. It draws up the blueprint for your life. Your conscious mind is the builder, trying to execute that plan. And your daily actions, those are just the raw materials. But think about it. If the blueprint itself, your subconscious belief system, is flawed, it doesn't matter how hard the builder works. You'll never create a magnificent life.
So we'll leave you with this final crucial warning. The choice really is yours. Your subconscious can be your most powerful ally or your most relentless enemy. So the question is, will you conquer it and become its master, or will you ignore it and become its slave? The answer to that question will define not just your wealth, but your entire world.